Speaksies.
This is the True Podcast.
True Podcast.
About a few acquaintances
Forced to stay at home and have their feelings recorded.
find out what happens when people stop going out.
And start getting real.
About toilet paper.
We're your hosts, Scott and Erin.
This is Panic at the Costco.
So the only one with any issue right now is Kelly, that she can only see me. Is that right?
I can see everyone now.
Oh, so we're good?
I don't know how you did that, what magic you used, but I got it.
I just did like a Care Bear stare. You didn't see it. I was just like, put my love into the, yeah. I just saw some comedy bit about the Care Bear stare, and I can't remember who.
Oh,
was
was
watching.
it Saturday Night Live? Or I saw the same thing.
What was it?
that?
It was so funny. It was like talking about Care Bears and how and like how funny they were, and how all they did was just had to love people. But I can't do it because I'm not a comedian.
I can't either.
Try.
What's that?
I want to see you try. Yeah, I will. Do.
We'll see where the night goes. No, I already did it. That's why you can see everybody. I'm very subtle about it. I was just like, Care Bear stare.
Oh, I see. It's just below the camera.
Oh, yeah. Easy. You don't know what's below the camera, as some guy got busted the other day for not wearing pants.
That's the best. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That would have happened to me, I'm sure. I love that. He was like was he in biker shorts, or was he in boxer briefs?
I believe it was a boxer brief.
Okay.
Yeah.
I missed this
Okay.
news story. What happened?
There was a journalist on the news, on national news, shirt, blazer, everything, but he didn't realize that his camera was kind of tilted, so you could also see that he wasn't wearing any pants.
Wow.
Yeah.
It was
That's
great.
Bold move.
I'm curious what Steve's wearing, but
Yeah, is that an
Yeah, is that-
ascot?
I want to call it a cravat. I believe that's a cravat.
Close.
Close?
It's Icky.
It's an ascot.
It's an ascot? Okay.
I don't want to blow our good quality material right now. But by the
Okay.
way, Erin and Anna, I don't think we were met in person.
Yeah, nice to meet
I know,
you.
it's nice to see your face. We've talked
And
a lot, but
Kelly's actually seen my nipples, so we're pretty close. At the pool. I mean, in a good way. Not like kind of at a 7-Eleven or something like that. Which is,
I was thinking about that earlier today, because normally how we start this is we just kind of say, hey, how's everyone doing? And that's a good 15 minutes. And that's with just me and Erin, so or with one other person. And then I think
in my nipples, apparently. Those are on
yeah,
the tape, so.
apparently. And I was thinking, gosh, who's met whom here? And I'm like, I know obviously everyone. Anna and Kelly are good buddies, but Erin has never met anyone in person. I was like, I think the only people that have met in person are Kelly and Steve. And then I was like, and Steve was shirtless because we were at the pool. So
Scott, we've met. I was on your podcast.
no, I said I know everybody.
Oh, you do. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
How could
Again,
I
our
forget that?
brains.
I mean,
Well, actually, all three of the squares here, I do feel like this is like the Brady Bunch, or like some sort of
Yep.
Hollywood Squares have been on the Personal Records podcast. So, so let's just say, how's everyone? Thank you guys for all coming, and let me make sure I'm recording. That's okay. Good, I'm recording. That's always my nightmare, is that we'll get to the end of this thing and I'll have to like send an email and try to make it humorous and be like, so I didn't record. Let's start with Kelly. How are you hanging, dude? How's life?
Well, the pour of my wine glass should indicate.
I was going to say, that's an Irish pour.
It was in general, I'm fine. Today was just a day. You know, like for the most part, I'm weathering the storm very well. I have nothing to really truly complain about, but there's some days that are a little bit rougher than others, and that was one of them today. But
I'm sorry.
it's okay.
At the end of this conversation, you're gonna feel so good. And
At the end of that
wonderful.
glass of wine, she's going to be really good.
No, I don't have to go in the office tomorrow, so.
Yeah.
So you're still going into an office? Do you still have to go into an office?
No, that was a joke. I'm not going into that.
Oh, I was going
Nailed
to
it.
say, are you?
In fact, wait, hold on a second. I have a prison calendar. We have been home It'll be 50 days tomorrow, Kelly.
Oh, wow.
We work at the same place.
We were the same place.
Yeah.
We used to be work partners. We're on
Yeah.
the same creative team, but we used to be actual, like, I'm a writer and she's an art director. So and then right before quarantine, we got switched around, sadly, tragically.
Sadly, I know. Heartbreaks.
They broke the band up, huh?
They broke the band up. Yeah.
That's some horse shit right there. How are you doing, Anna?
In COVID-adjusted terms, which I like to say,
Yeah.
doing okay. I took today off of work completely because I needed a break. It's funny when you're on calls all day and you just get even more exhausted than you think you ever could with your commute and all that stuff. So I took a mental health day. My dog's behind me sleeping in a corner. I took him on a walk. Played a lot of Animal Crossing, which is it shouldn't be soothing because it's just chores, but it is.
It's just chores.
It's just chores and like paying a mortgage. It's the worst game ever.
Is that what it is? So I've heard of this game. So you just basically do tasks within the virtual.
Yeah,
world?
like you go fishing and you grow plants and you grow fruit trees and you harvest your fruit and you sell them and use that money to improve the island. Every time I explain it, everyone's like, "Why are you playing this?"
No, it's definitely there's something about that game that's sweeping the nation. I don't know what, but it's
for me. I miss chores. I miss them. I miss.
Are you COVID free because you can come over to my house?
Right?
I feel like I have more chores than ever. All I'm doing is
you're doing is choring. Yeah.
I'm doing sweatpants laundry and dishes. You know.
Mm-hmm. Lots of dishes. I don't like doing dishes. There's no dishes in Animal Crossing.
I've gotten to the point where I've cleaned out the boxes that have been in the back of my closet for the last 4 years. I actually cleaned them out. That's how far I've gotten into chores.
Yeah. But no, I think I'm doing okay. I don't have children, so I think having kids is a completely different situation and it just complicates everything. And for better or for worse, I think a lot of parents are really happy to be having all this time with their kids too in a lot of ways. But it was just me and my husband and our dog. And the parents like,
she's like, well,
are they? I have a 9-year-old and a 6-year-old. Sometimes I'm like, oh, isn't this nice, this extra time we're having together? But a lot of times I'm like, wow, this is a whole lot. A whole lot.
I'm doing okay. And I also,
good.
The Oyster Bay is flowing, so.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Good.
Steve, what about you, my friend? Other than picking up a new fashion statement.
Well, I was trying to embrace the COVID life. So I thought I could get ascots that I could then double as face masks so I could stay fashionable.
Oh.
Fortunately, once I realized once you tie an ascot, it's not going anywhere. So I'm embracing it. Life gives you lemons. You make ascots out of it is the way I look at it. So
it's dashing.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're probably the most dressed up I've ever seen anybody in the last 6 weeks. So.
This is the most dressed up I've seen myself in the last 6 weeks too. So, and there's a reason why I turned the camera away when I stood up earlier to go get another pair of headphones too. Not in a like at the pool sort of way that Kelly and I had that bond, but just the whole outfit kind of dies after both ways. But I'm living the introvert dream still. I'm employed, which is awesome, and I'm stuck in my house. I have ascots. I've been working on my trick basketball shots with the kid in the backyard. I bought a bike, which will be the way that I die during the pandemic. Like if I pass away, people are going to be like, what happened? Did he get it? Did he lick a doorknob or eat a bat? He's like, no, he tried to cross the street and it didn't work out.
I bought a bike as well, but it is on major back order right now. So
There's a black market for bike helmets and dumbbells. That somebody's making a lot of money.
Yes.
And yoga mats, I'm assuming. So many yoga mats.
Resistance bands. All
Kettlebells. Truck tires.
Somebody gave me one of those huge ball things, and I don't know what to do with it. Like I'm trying to do workout and play stuff, like bicycles and excuse my French, but like crab walks and whatever, and planks. I love planks because they're so simple. But I'm like, what do I do with the ball? How does the ball play into this? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
The big
Yeah.
ass yoga ball thing or whatever it's called.
Mhm.
Is it weighted or is it just
No,
like air
it's not.
It's like a
not-
labor ball, right? It's like it's
Is that what it is? It's
It's like the one you could do crunches on.
Is
Right?
it?
Yeah.
you
It
could.
has-
But it's like
there
a
is
giant. It's a
crunch.
giant balloon, like a sturdy balloon.
Yes. Sturdy balloon.
Really, the
with a
sky's the
shot
limit.
in it.
You can do
Yeah.
whatever you want as long as you're on the ball. That's really, it just adds a level of.
Like, give me an example of one. Like, I can't do jumping jacks on the ball. I can't do planks on the ball.
You can do a
I
plank
can't
on
do
the ball.
squats.
You can, yeah, you can.
You can.
Maybe you can.
Well, one can do a plank on the ball if you. It's like a crazy maneuver because you got to balance it. You got to balance like right under your arms here. Do a plank, hold it. I don't know. It's like you work in your core.
Yeah, or you can put your feet on it and then put your hands on the ground. You have options. The
Yeah.
world's your oyster, really.
All right, next episode where
Yeah.
everyone's bringing their ball, because none of this is making sense to me. Because all I'm thinking is I don't want to have to go to the hospital for like a sprained elbow during the time of COVID because I tried to do some ball plank. You know what I mean? So
My son his birthday is today, and he just got a skateboard, and I'm like,
yeah,
please do not forget your helmet. I do not want to end up in the hospital during this time. Like that's all I can think about was not the scraped knees. Like I could deal with that. I can, anything breaks. I don't know what I'm going to
But
do.
when he wipes out, look for a guy in an ascot because that'll be me. I'll probably have a bike stuck in some part of my body.
You guys share a hospital room.
Yeah,
Right.
share a room or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So Aaron, it was your son's birthday today, which I saw on the social medias, and we had talked previously about how you're going to make it special for him. So how are you doing with just life in general, plus having a kid's birthday during lockdown?
Yeah. Yesterday, or was it the day before? See, I don't even know anymore. Okay, day before yesterday, Monday, was a bad day. That was I was keeping my shit together for a really long time, I feel like. And then I don't know, just came crashing down for no good reason. Like there wasn't an extra stress or anything going on. It just, the weight of everything just finally got to me. I don't know. So it was a bad day. And then yesterday was better. And then today was pretty great because we had a birthday. We spent the morning chasing the chickens around, which are going back soon because my God, they shit everywhere. And it is so much work.
By the way, Steve, if you haven't been listening, that's not a euphemism. She got chickens.
Yeah. Well, I found out my back door. That sounds bad. Let me change that. I found out the neighbor who lives behind me is building a chicken coop right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
It will smell.
So
It's going to smell terrible.
we're aware. My wife and daughter listed out instantly all the things I should be prepared for. Like I wouldn't have put that together myself.
Right. There's 3 little ones. I mean, they're babies, weeks old. They're in our garage, and our garage has been. I don't even want to go in there anymore. I'm over it. We're done fostering. We're gonna give the chickens back, and I will never get another caged animal. Mark my words. I said it here. We'll never get another caged animal.
I'll hold you to that.
Ever. But so we started the morning like that. That was good. They were in the backyard. They pooped outside. Then we had cake.
Wait, who's going outside? Is this the party or are these the chickens?
The
chickens are outside. Then I don't know. Then they had a birthday parade. So like I don't know if you guys where you live, they're doing this. I know other parts of the country are doing this too, where it's just a caravan of cars beeping and honking, and everybody waves their sign, and the kids stand outside in the yard, and they, say happy birthday, socially distanced happy birthday, and yeah, it was pretty cool. I mean, we did our best. He got like one of those little motorized bikes, another thing that could land him in the hospital. But otherwise, yeah, so it was a good day.
So was it really? So I was thinking about that because I knew you had had a bad day. it wasn't one of those things where you just like sucked it up for the kid, but it went well. Everyone is happy, and it was a good day.
And
That's
you know
good.
what? I also, okay, so like Anna, I took today off as
Mhm.
a birthday / mental health day. And, I've been talking to a lot of people about taking mental health days, or if they're still working, being able to work a 4-day week instead of a 5-day week, because if you are a parent, this is really like, you've got to be a parent, teach, be an IT person for your kid's computer,
Right.
work. And I mean, this is something we're going to get into on this episode about, being creative and really using that part of your brain, and how can you when there's so much else going on. But, so I feel like we just, I don't know, I having one day where I didn't have to be responsible for one thing, and I let the kids not go to school today to like do schoolwork. So 2 things really I didn't have to be responsible for. All I had to clean up was chicken poop, and it was a good day.
It's like
bad.
lost verse from an Ice Cube song.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about working from home is like, when do you turn off? When do you not? It's so easy to leave the computer on and keep doing stuff. And I've done one of those days myself a week or 2 ago where I was just like, I'm taking it off, and not going to be at work today, even though it would be so easy for me to just turn it on. But so good. Well, it sounds like everyone's hanging in there okay.
We're all right. The kids are all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, as the Who once said. By the way, that's a great documentary if you've ever watched it. The kids are all right.
Oh.
The Who. Anyway, never mind.
In my head, it's that lesbian movie with that nice lesbian couple who adopted kids. Isn't that a movie?
Are you guys hearing that?
I think.
Yeah.
I just heard it too.
Okay.
I was gonna let it go, but
Oh, Kelly.
Kelly's blowing up.
My phone. Sorry.
You're ruining it. You're ruining the podcast.
Is that an Amber Alert or very?
Someone trying to sell her chickens.
Yeah.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Someone asking if she needs any ascots.
We went to Tractor Supply Company like early in the quarantine and saw chicks and considered it, and I'm glad we said no.
Yeah, you were like, who are those stupid? It was me over there. Like, at the
If you're gonna get anything, get quails, dude. Because quail eggs are delicious and they're not as stinky. I only know this because the person that cuts my hair has quails. Steve, you have a look on your face. Do you have bad things to say about quail? Because quails are pretty cool. Do you know anything?
No, I'm just seeing a lot of different types of animal poop and sounds that are.
Quails. I don't know if the plural of quail is quail. Probably
it's quail.
All right, quail are chill, dude. Chill as AF. From everything I've heard.
And they're so cute.
They're cute. Their little eggs are so cute.
State bird of California. I don't know if you guys know that. State bird.
Oh, Anna.
California Valley quail.
Yeah. You know a lot about quails. Are you Googling?
Just a lot about California. I don't know a lot about quails. They're delicious. I know that.
Yes, I agree with that.
Really good. But
all right, so I know we did like kind of a little introduction of all of us, but since I don't know you all as well, let's go around maybe and say who you are and what is creativity, since we're talking about creativity today. Is it your livelihood or is it a hobby? And are you struggling? Just a yes or no right now with creativity. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first. So I can.
You and the ascot.
Yeah,
yes.
The guy and the ascot's going to go. So I work professionally in a field that's not creative, which is fine because it pays well. I have a good job. Life is good. So one of the reasons Scott and I do Origin Speakeasies and all the other stuff is so I can actually, that part of my brain can get activated and, take that out. So this hasn't been too inhibitive during this time for me. Something I did realize that a lot of stuff that Scott and I do start off with conversations of things that happened at work or when I'm walking down the street or I'm going to the store. And Scott had asked me the other day, are you going to run out of stuff to talk about because you don't go anywhere? And there is a chance of that I'm going to have to start referring to my coworkers, and it's going to be pretty obvious that it's going to be my wife and daughter. And it's gonna be something really, mundane or inappropriate about toilets or, spilling stuff during conference calls or things like that. Now that I have, though, my neighbors buying chicken coops, there's still a possibility that I'm going to be able to have things to talk about. My daughter's always wanted a fox, and her birthday's actually this week, too. So maybe that fox can finally pay off for everybody. That once I got to make sure the chicken coop's built next door first. But
I also sense a children's book, some a possibility with that too.
We did. My daughter and I worked on one. It was Tim the Christmas Raccoon. And all he wanted was rabies for Christmas, and we never got it. It was kind of a verbal thing that we did. We never put down to writing, but you just made me think of that. That might be a good thing, or a bad thing. So, someone who professionally isn't very creative and has been oddly more busy now that I'm at home, or busier, pardon me. It hasn't been too bad, but the creative side, I don't know, it's different. I think with anything, you got to get used to it and just find your way to kind of shift and adjust to things. Like buying ascots and seeing what you can do.
How many different creative ways can you wear an ascot? That's a good point. Sounds like a hobby. So what about you, Scott, since I know what you do, but
I'm not, I would say no, because I'm not really creative other than, asking Anna to make new logos for the next podcast.
Hey, you have good ideas, though.
Which we should take a break to give a shout out to Anna, who
Yes.
designed all of our podcasts.
She designed our logo.
Oh, I'm blushing. Stop it.
So Anna does all of our artwork except for the random ones that aren't really the official artwork. And then Kelly is the voice of Speaksies. So at the beginning of every single podcast we do. So by the way, shout out to Speaksies fam.
Yeah.
So I'll make this one quick, which is, what I miss, because the creative thing I do is DJ, and I do actually miss the hell out of that because I cannot wait to get. What's weird is Erin knows, and I guess Steve too. Like I took a sabbatical. I was like, I'm not going to do that this year. I'm focusing on more professional stuff. I'm only going to do a couple weddings that I have booked, and that's it. But now that I'm forced, now that I don't have the option, I miss it tremendously. So, but I'll let you move on because I'm really not what you would call a creative.
Well, this is your out. These podcasts are your outlet too. So
yeah, for sure. It's but for me, it's more something to do that's sort of productive or fun. It's fun for me to do this. I don't think of it as all that creative as, and so I guess if anything though, it has, like for Steve and I we're doing different well, first and foremost, this podcast, this came together in like 2 days. Steve knows because I texted Steve and I was like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this thing. And the next day I was like, okay, we've got a podcast going.
The next day I put my phone down for 4 hours and came back and there was artwork waiting for me. It went pretty quick.
Yeah, Mr. Oh, I don't know. It didn't take. No, it was like he texted me like, hey, it's coming really hot. Gotta design something really fast. I'm like, okay, all right.
Well, because I felt like we had to do this now.
Yeah.
Like it can't be like with Origin of Speaksies. We took 2 months to sort of talk about it, decide how it was going to work. I was just like, screw it, man. Like people want to talk about this stuff, or at least I do. And if nothing else, it's an excuse to wrangle you guys all here and have a conversation. And for me, that's, it's fun because we talked about kids. I have my kids half the time. When I have them, I'm happy. I see memes and stuff about, thank God I don't have kids. And I'm like, I could see that if I didn't have kids, but like having kids, I miss the hell out of my kids when I don't have them. You know what I mean? So instead, I do podcasting during that time. So, but Steve and I have done new things with Origin of Speaksies. Like the episode we just released, we interviewed a comedian from Nashville that Steve had seen before. We're innovating a little bit. So I would say that might be the one sort of positive twist to the creative side is changing up what you do a little bit because you can, and there are new opportunities there.
How about you, Kelly? I know you guys, well, I know been working from home. So, and obviously you are a writer. So am I. You're in a creative field. Are you in advertising?
Yeah, I'm in brand in a corporate environment, large corporation in town. You probably can guess it because everybody works there at some point. Um, but yeah, so I'm on a creative team in the brand department for that company, and I have before that previously worked at ad agencies. So my day job is writing for advertising and marketing. That's obviously very creative, very strategic. So I also have creative like hobbies, which interestingly, when I was working in the office, I would come home feeling so creatively drained that I didn't really have the energy to pursue like a lot of my other creative like interests when I got home. But I have found, even though working from home is exhausting, just being on video calls all day and like it's hard to break away from your computer. My workload has been a little bit lighter as far as like what's expected and projects I've been on, and I've been able to spend time like I'm learning how to play the cello, so I've been able to spend time practicing my cello, getting into my art again, and so it's actually interestingly been a little bit better of a balance than I expected.
Are you having a hard time being creative right now? It sounds like you're diving into new things, but like as far as doing your job, like not saying you're doing your job, but your just creativity in general, has it been tough for you? Yes or no? Yeah. How about you, Anna?
So when I came home 50 days ago, I got super excited because so being 36 in this environment, this is not the first once in a lifetime financial downfall that I've been a part of. Back in 2008, I wasn't in the creative world. I was an admin, but I hadn't really started my career change into the creative world yet. And I've had these moments in time in the past where I've been isolated in my tiny studio apartment with no money and no nothing. And those were some of the most creative times of my life because you literally have nothing else to do. Mm-hmm. And I got so excited because I was like, one, I have a job this time. That's incredible. And my husband has his job. So we're both, we're good. And I made a list of all the things that I wanted to work on. Haven't done a single one of them. Because I am so drained. And I think, this is before where I was working, I think I worked at a coffee shop. I was a nanny for a family. I did seamstress stuff because I can sew. So I did a lot of custom orders and tailoring orders and things back in 2008. This time, my everyday is very creative. I'm an art director. So I have to use that creative side of my brain all day. And I still thought I'd have energy left over to do all these cool things that I want to do. And I was like, I'm going to make masks and I'm going to give those masks to the hospitals. And I've made 2 masks, one for me, one for my husband. It's still not enough. I need to make more. I have this giant piece of muslin ready to go that no energy at all. So, and I don't have kids. So, I try to do, now I'm taking on things that are like short-term creative things. So like I have a ukulele and I've been kind of playing with that a little bit more. Animal Crossing is kind of fun because it's creative, but it's not a big commitment. You can just kind of pick it up and put it down. I'm having a hard time with big projects. Like I just can't wrap my brain around getting a project done right now. Right. So I'm trying to find workarounds where I don't feel like a total slouch, but I'm still able to kind of get those other, creative juices flowing. Even though during the day I'm still doing a lot of creative problem solving. So I would say like, while I'm not burned out necessarily, I've just sort of recalibrated my brain, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I know it totally does. And I am in kind of your field where I do, I'm a creative director and writer, and like new projects come on and, there's when they're bigger, like the big branding projects, or website to tackle, or giant brochure, or, the start of a commercial or something. Not that there's many out there. And actually, aren't we all watching the same commercial? I think we're all watching the very same ad.
Yeah.
But a lot of strategy going on, which I think is actually, my brain is more attracted to that right now. What are we saying? How are we going to pivot our marketing message if need be? How are we going to address this? And kind of that I can wrap my brain around easier than some of these bigger projects, like starting from scratch. It gets a little bit overwhelming, like, because there's just so much going on, and you're like, okay, need to just sit down and focus. And I think that's, when I talk to a lot of creatives, we're all saying the same thing, like tired, focus, energy, kids, no kids. It's kind of all around. We're all dancing around the same struggles. And I really feel, and I wonder if, like, our brains, biologically speaking, are even supposed to be super creative at this time, right? Like, we're fighting a pandemic and our primitive brain is kicking in to high gear. Like, you need to focus on protecting yourself and safety and family and basic needs and toilet paper. And so I'm wondering, like, are we just not supposed to be using that part of our brain right now? Like, well, I'm wondering. I don't know.
That made me think. I think if the creative is bringing you an escape or a restorative thing or quality during this time, like this, my work creative can be a struggle these days. It's like creative I have to think a certain way. I have to produce a certain product, right? And my brain is tired. But there are some things that I'm doing for myself creatively that feel good, that like get me in a meditative state or like put me in a zone outside of work. And that stuff feels natural and easy. So it could be the type of thing that you're doing or expected to do creatively.
I tell you, you'd mentioned primitive brain, and something I have to ask Anna is, what is that mannequin behind you? There, I've been having a Silence of the Lambs vibe going on.
Oh no, it's my dress form. It's just I use it when I'm draping patterns and things. Yeah.
Okay. Just making sure.
It's actually a sewing tool. It's not a person.
That's what Buffalo Bill would say, but it's okay. I like it. And is that an ascot hanging on? There's something.
No, it's a couple bags. I don't have a lot of storage space. So I just hung some bags on it.
From a blurry distance. I'm sorry, I got ascot.
Yeah. Well, there's a hat on top, so that's probably why it feels a little weird. It's my sun hat. It felt weird with nothing on it.
Yeah. Then you put some lotion on it and felt better.
In the back, yeah. Well,
right.
I'll pick up the hose again, but yeah. I think the idea of like, should we even have to be creative right now? I think we all are being creative. We are all solving problems creatively all the time. Like, how are we getting our kids these lesson plans? How am I getting to the grocery store? Even that has now turned into a puzzle that I need to solve. So, do I have enough masks? All that stuff. Yeah.
My thought on that is, we're sort of innovating and being creative in how we live our life. What I'm curious about, and sort of what I asked Erin the other day, is like, how are you supposed to be creative, like, as your job right now? And I think that's even like what Kelly was saying is, I can be creative when I turn things off and I play my cello. And I know you guys are obviously all doing a wonderful job in your jobs, so let's just be honest. But I would think that would be more of a challenge. And I don't know if, Erin, this is what you were saying, because you said how if you're working with somebody on sort of pivoting on the message in these uncertain times,
right,
like every email or every ad right now, but to think of something new from whole cloth, no pun intended, on a new campaign or a new brand idea, it's like hard to focus on that when there's something so pervasive going on. Is that sort of?
Yeah,
so
I think so. Yeah. I mean, and I'm in no way comparing the job stress of, a creative person to a frontline worker or anything like that. Mm-hmm. But as a creative professional, like, I guess we just have to acknowledge that there is a lot of stress right now, especially if you're in the world of commercial, creativity. You're working with businesses who their livelihood depends on your quote unquote brilliance, right? Like we do is you have to be on point all the time. You have to strike gold. You have to make your deadlines. You have to be brilliant every time, pandemic or no pandemic, because like, when you put something out there and it sucks, and then your team's going to know it, and then the client's going to know it, and that's not okay. So like you kind of have to like pull yourself up by your Converse laces and get it done. And you have to get it done. You have to be smart and brilliant every single time. So I think like that's a hard standard to live up to when, your kid's interrupting you 50 million times, or you're obsessively, Googling coronavirus symptoms or whatever you're doing. There's so many distractions. It's just hard to clear your brain enough to really tap into that kind of creativity, as opposed to maybe like just picking up a guitar and like coming up with a song, or using your hands to do something. I don't know. That's kind of where
using a cello if you think you're better than everybody else.
Or a ukulele if you feel inferior to the cello.
Yeah, you guys, that's a great pairing, by the way.
Right, I know. I keep telling Kelly we should start a band where I play the uke and she plays the cello. It's just the two of us.
I just want to see Kelly with her big ass cello, and then you with your little ukulele doing a song. But sorry, go ahead, Kelly.
I was going to say, going off what Erin said, that I'm less stressed just handling my meetings, but when I know I need to actually have quiet, dedicated time to write, and I have my kids, that's where the stress comes in on my job, because it's just, like, I need you to leave me alone. And I need to be able to like sit here and think, because it, like what you said is true. Like you have to produce, and you have to produce well. And for me, writing, when I really am not like tweaking or editing, I'm like creating something from scratch. I have to find that space to be in the zone, and it's really hard.
Kelly, where do you normally do that? Like, are you normally, when you're in that zone in the office, or do you do that from home? What, like, I know you probably work from home sometimes. Like, what's your normal process for that?
Well, when I'm in the office, sometimes I can put headphones on and I can tune out people and get in the zone. Sometimes it's like finding another place around the office where I can hole up and get away from people, because I work on a team of very awesome but extroverted and conversationalist people. And
they don't shut up. They don't shut up.
Yeah, that's not diplomatic way to say.
I say it with love, because I also don't shut up. I'm part of the problem.
It's great. It's a great culture until you actually get work done. So sometimes I will just escape and find a quiet place and write. At home, I'm stuck at my kitchen table. I have a laptop, but I also have a big desktop like screen that, if I need to look at a million things at one time. And it's like right in the kitchen around everybody. So it can be a little challenging sometimes.
Well, and the kids don't have any respect for that at all. I don't know about your kids. There's nothing you can say. I mean, even I'll be on a call and I'll just be like, you seriously can't talk. Like, you have to be silent. Like, unless something's on fire, they don't respect it. They come in and tell me that they're hungry or whatever it is, and I'm like, I'm now finding out that maybe this is a gift. My kids don't like respect me, or just don't. Maybe they're just dumb. How do you not understand that I can't talk or help you right now?
No, I had one day, I don't know, last week or 2 weeks ago. What is time these days? I don't know.
Time is a flat circle.
I was going to say it's a flat circle.
I had one day where I had two important presentations where I wasn't just like in the meeting, I was actively presenting my work. And I said to my kids, these 2 times, unless you're dying, you cannot come in here and talk to me. Like, you may have screen time, be on your iPad. You cannot come in here. Right. And both times they came in and they stuck their, stuffed Pikachu in the screen. Went like this. And had a very ridiculously mundane question that was so pressing they had to ask me that
Right.
very second. And I was like, get out of this video.
You could always do, so I grew up in a family of 5, and my mom had a snap that she would do where she was on the phone and you walked in the room and she was on the phone. It was like a wrist. There was a wrist to it. It was like a
like that
with the face and like
a power mom snap.
It was a power mom snap, and it was terrifying. All she had to do was snap. We're like, oh god, she's on the phone.
Yeah.
A snap. All right.
Snap.
I'm taking notes because
it struck fear into our hearts. Just a snap, like Thanos. Just took the one.
Half your privileges have disappeared, young man.
I tried like a PowerPoint, and then I was like, no pun intended. I was like, get out. But I haven't had to really institute that before, so I don't think they really understood.
So, it's funny because, obviously they're not respecting personal space. And in fact, it's kind of crazy because they have so much more of our attention now. Like, you're home.
I know.
They should, why
it makes no sense.
More of my attention.
I know. You're getting so much more of me, and yet you still want more. Like, what the hell? Like,
I feel like
nothing else to give.
Play your video games.
I feel like it's that kind of thing where
Tiger King yet? I think maybe that's something.
That might do it.
It took a week of my life and helped me. Maybe that's why I feel like I've adjusted so well to this. Is that really got me off to a good start? I'm like, I'm not going to leave the house. I have to see what happens next.
I wonder if it's like, when you become a parent, and they always say, like, you don't think you could possibly love anymore, but you can. And it's sort of like this infinite bucket. And I feel like children with parental attention, it's like this infinite bucket that gets ever wider.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, you get a little bit of it and they just want more because they just love you guys.
And exotic with husbands.
Exactly. And tigers, frankly.
Well, it's a good metaphor, but it also works with, how you say, well, you can never love anything until you had a kid and you realize it's the same with being annoyed. Like, nothing can ever annoy you. My son is 12 and I love him, but holy crap, he's getting annoying. Like, it's to the point where, and I hope he listens to this. Logan, I hope I don't care. But it's the infinite bucket of that as well. So it's not just the one emotion. It's many of them.
It's funny you said annoying because my 4-year-old has like the worst screech where I just want to show him Dumb and Dumber to be like, you see, this is what you sound.
I did that. I showed Logan's watched it, and so now I'll just be like, the most annoying sound of the world, you right now.
Mom, like, down the hall.
So how are you all, and I can start with Steve. How are you finding space, like personal space or even space to be creative, space to think, literal space and mind space?
The best thing that's happened to me, and hopefully this isn't the same with dumbbells and bike helmets. For my last birthday, I received a pair of noise canceling headphones, and that has been a lifesaver. Honestly, I can deal with the door being kicked open during the middle of a phone call a lot better if it happens a few seconds. If I see it happen, I don't hear it happen. So that honestly helped me a ton, is just doing that, and also just trying to keep a work schedule of these are times I'm working, these are times I'm not working, and trying to duplicate like a real life schedule you would have at an office. And so far it's worked out. And I have one daughter, and she's awesome. She's like the perfect mix of, my wife and I've always worried about what if we had like the anti mix that we have right now. That would be pretty tough to live with. But she's great, and we always kind of keep on a schedule, and boundaries aren't as defined as I'd like them to be. And again, it's amazing the loudness of the entrance versus the magnitude of the question. It never really balances out well. It's like the louder you're coming in, the lower emergency rate or whatever of the question is that comes through.
Of course. Scott, what about you? I mean, I know you have your kids half the time, but I mean, when they're there, or even just like mental space.
I have to like pacify them, and then just get as much work as I can get done while they're pacified. I mean, to be honest with you. So like I'm set up in the kitchen with the monitor and everything else. And, I tell them now to go outside, and I think Garth had posted something about, man, I'm seeing kids outside that I never see. Garth is a guy that was on our show previously. Because I will just tell them, hey, everything's going off. You have to go outside. And until I tell you to come back inside. So they have found, I think they're learning how to play outside a little bit. But, again, I have to find things to keep them occupied as much as possible. But it's you talk about being innovative or creative. I've tried to find ways of getting them interested in other things. I'm making them read more. Like you have to read. When I was a kid, that was the fun thing you did was read.
Right. Yep. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like I didn't go anywhere without a book, and that's kind of gone away. So I think they've taken to that a little bit. So when I don't have them, it's like, getting because see, when they're here, I get up and I get showered and I get ready for the day because I don't want them to see me being a slouch piece of shit. But yet, when they're not here, I'm like, oh God, I gotta log on. What time is it? Do I need to shower today? I guess I'll brush my teeth. I don't know. Like, let's get the coffee going. Oh no, what time is it? So in a weird way, they keep me in check for just not being a piece of crap. And then on the days I don't have them, I really have to get myself up and try to stay as focused as possible. And like, I don't watch TV or turn on the TV. That's one thing I don't do. Like during the work day, I play music, but I won't turn on.
He plays his
TV.
solo cello recordings. So
That's right. I just play cello and ukulele music as I work all day. So I don't know. I'm still figuring it out.
Yeah, I think we're all still figuring it out. It's you said something about tossing the kids outside, and that's been so big for us because it gets their energy out, and but until it backfires on you on a classroom flip grid, when your son goes on there and says that everything's been pretty good except for when my parents force me outside while they work, and then the head I'm like, oh, please. My God.
That's just A1 parenting right there.
Right. And I have no idea what, by the way, he's saying on these flip grids half the time. Who knows what people know about our house, but I think space, and I love your idea of noise canceling headphones. Like, duh, that's so smart. I should just go on Amazon and get some, because I've actually had to sit there in my room, close the door, lock the door, and for some reason, like, they can get in locked doors. Locking doors means nothing.
Ghosts.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter. And I've actually run the hair dryer just so I don't have to hear them.
Oh no!
So I've worked for like a solid, hour with the hair dryer next to me, just so I can make sure I didn't hear anybody. So
Erin, that's
canceling.
If that's true, that's one of the saddest things I've ever heard.
Yeah.
You put your hair dryer on so you don't have to. Oh my gosh!
I can't concentrate. Like,
get some headphones.
Concentrate with them. Noise
This episode of Panic at the Costco brought to you by Bose headphones.
Yeah.
Also, white noise machines.
Yeah.
That's also, we have one of those in our bedroom because we have a neighbor next door. I'm actually waiting for him to get home. He drives the loudest Mustang. There's no muffler, and my office window is right next to the house next door. And I heard him leave, and I was like, oh, he's going to come back during this. And it picks up in my headphones. It's that loud. So we have a white noise machine in our bedroom for that I might put in my office for, for the same reason. Just, I got some loud neighbors.
Yeah. You got to just drown out either silence or, noise. There's, because when you're working in the office, obviously you hear this, background noise and chatter. And I think, you're used to that. I'm used to working from home. I've been working from home for a long time, but, like I still need to have like my music on or something in the background to just don't know. To kind of get me going. So when when I have too much noise though, I think it's completely distracting and can't get shit done. So how are you finding space? You've got kiddos, Kelly.
I have my kiddos. I have them also like half the time, kind of like Scott does. I find when I have them, there are a couple of things I have to do. Either I go out onto, I have like a balcony. I can like get out there and like leave them in the apartment for a little bit. If I'm really desperate, it's like you can have free time on your iPads, call your friends. I need you to leave me alone for a little bit. And then for my own mental space during the day, getting outside for walks has become so important for me to get outside in nature, clear my head. And then like in general though, even when I'm by myself, I'm actually working a lot more, and like I can't get up from my desk because it's just harder to, like Scott said, like when you have your kids, you have reasons to get up, right? And then when I'm working by myself, I find myself glued to my chair for like hours on end. And it's a lot harder. And I burn out a lot faster actually when I'm just working by myself. So I've found, since I have no commute these days, I am staying up much later than I used to. I am carving out space for myself after the kids go to bed at night, like a lot more time than I normally would. It's just necessary. I have to have it. I have to decompress. I just need that extra time. And so I am staying up like consistently like midnight or later. But then I'm also not having to get up like nearly as early as I did before and get the kids to the bus stop at like 7:15 or whatever, again to the office. So it's working out. But that's kind of what I'm doing.
Yeah, I see a lot of nodding head. Is everybody kind of finding that you're staying up later?
Yeah.
A little bit. Yeah. A little bit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're going. I feel like for me, it's just, there's something going on every minute. Like somebody needs something. You're working, you're parenting. I'm putting my 2-year-old down for a nap. You're getting the 2-year-old up. You're switching on and off. So I feel like every minute of every day is going until about 8:30, 9 o'clock. And then.
Yeah. Well, I wish I could say my kids were going to bed at that time. My kids are now staying up later than ever, but yeah, same thing. Erin, I have a question for you. So you're used to working from home, but did Mike normally work from home?
Yeah, he's been working.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, his company is based out of Chicago. So he's been working from home for longer than I have. 2009, maybe even before we moved to Richmond.
So you guys are used to, what is sort of your normal, like, how do you work? Like, I've never understood how someone would be able to work from home with their spouse. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so do you normally just like stay kind of give each other your own space, or you're just like that in love, or what? And then how does it work now with the kids? Do you give each other breaks?
Yeah. So before that, sorry, my light's like flashing on and off. I don't know if he's doing that or the weather, or we've got spirits in the house. But
it's probably spirits.
You're really distracted. Yeah. So the same ones that knocked off your coats. Okay. So sometimes, a lot of the times pre-COVID, we're like still 2 ships passing in the night. Like he's on calls for like 5 to 6 hours of the day. And so he's constantly busy, and I'm busy with my stuff. And then sometimes we'll like go to the gym together, or, have lunch at the same time. But really we're just super busy. Like I never turn on the TV either. And I can't, I would just get too wrapped into it and then never get my work done.
Maury Povich is a great show. So you put that on, you're sucked in.
Is that actually still on?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't watch
you are
daytime
not
TV.
the father.
I mean, what?
Are people still getting pregnant and going on that show?
Oh, they are. I assure you they
There'll
are.
be a special COVID edition in that 9 months. Like
Oh my
Maury's like booked
gosh.
up. He's like, we're going another 20 years just off this.
Yeah, but the best part is, like, you know who the father is. You've all been in the same room for 4 months.
I was gonna say nobody's getting pregnant now. Well, I guess. Never mind. If you have somebody,
Well, if they are, you pretty much know who the father is. That's all I'm saying.
and if not, that's some
You're
intrigue.
gonna get chastised by Maury, not for having 7 kids out of wedlock, but how dare you unsocial distance with somebody else?
Right.
Right? How dare you? The nerve.
Like Maury had the same amount of COVID tests that he has paternity tests, then I think like our country would be
Oh my gosh.
totally.
That's how
like,
we're gonna catch up. We need to put Murray in charge of it.
I mean,
Yeah.
God, get his test.
We have the results.
Mhm.
You
Yep.
have COVID-19.
Yeah.
He'd be like, no. He
No.
jumps up. I told you you had COVID.
Wow, you know this show really well. Is it still on?
I don't watch
No,
TV during the day, so I wouldn't know if like Price is Right is still on or Maury.
I think Judge Judy retired, or is she still on?
I
You know, I'm not sure. I was going to say the jury's out. Oh, no.
Oh no! That's
Oh,
under my job.
Oh my gosh.
wow. Sorry.
No.
I'm not sure.
We've got to get somebody who's still watching daytime TV. Like who's still watching soap operas and
Oh, you know the unemployment rate is like 15% right now.
Oh,
So, yeah, more than usual, I would say.
I
Yeah.
guess that's true.
Watching.
Like, but by choice, like not just mindlessly. Like, let me just see what's on here. Somebody really like getting soap opera digest still delivered to their house, and I don't know.
All I know is I guarantee if what's today? Wednesday. So
29th.
let's say
Today, I know.
it is Wednesday, right? So tomorrow, if I put on Days of Our Lives, I guarantee the same storyline's going. I guarantee Marlena is in John Black wait, what? I've said too much, but
I was going to say, I don't even know those characters.
I'm an old Days of Our Lives fan, and nothing ever changes. Like from decade to decade, it's the same storylines going through. It's just like Maury. I mean, you're gonna get some explosive test results.
Years ago, when I worked from home, I am ashamed to admit this. I cannot believe I am saying this on a podcast. I watched Wendy Williams every morning because she's on at like 10 a.m.
Wow.
Kelly, you stop laughing at me.
Wow.
I watch Wendy because it's just like gossip. It's just like your gossipy aunt. And she's like drinking tea in a beautiful velvet chair, just talking about celebrities, and it's just so dumb. And I loved Wendy Williams when I was working from home years ago.
Scott, I think we have our next podcast.
I
right
know.
there.
I was about to say that's Steve's next solo
I know.
podcast.
Yeah.
A velvet chair doing gossip.
Mhm. Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Sitting really high off the ground. The chairs are always very high.
Isn't
Yeah.
she like super problematic?
Very.
Yeah.
So problematic.
I should start watching. I like problematic people.
She's sort of just off the cuff, and she's very
Yeah.
opinionated, even if she has no idea what she's talking about.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And now she's divorced, but she had this wedding set that was like this knuckle to knuckle diamond situation. And the nails are done, and she wears wigs all the time, and it's just escapism.
We're
Then
missing
we-
out, basically.
Yeah.
Like now, you're kind of selling this. Is she still on?
I
Don't know.
don't know because I can't. Okay, again, I'm showing way too much of my head. Her marriage fell apart recently, and she like stopped filming for a while to like recover from all that. And then I think COVID hit, so I don't know if they're still filming. I'm sure they will eventually.
Yeah.
We need to get her on Maury Povich
Yeah.
to see if he can
There
test
needs to
something,
be
and then Judge Judy can put them back together.
Yeah.
Or something.
Battle
like it.
of the daytime all-stars. Like, didn't they do that in the 80s all the time? Like,
Ooh.
Battle of the
Yeah.
Network Stars.
Mhm.
Does anybody remember?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Battle of the Network
Or-
Stars. Hell yeah, you had like Corbin Burnson doing like tug of war with like
Yeah, like Dick Van Dyke.
Robert Urich.
Yeah,
I have no recollection of that.
Boo Boo the dog. I mean, like, everybody was there.
I remember Circus of the Stars. That was my thing that I used to watch. Was Circus of the Stars.
Right.
Yeah.
Steve, I know you remember Battle of the Network Stars. Don't act like
I
you
do. I'm not. And
Yeah.
I remember Linda Carter being in that. I remember I
Yeah.
learned some things about myself. And here I am today wearing an ascot with you guys.
Life comes at you fast.
Yeah.
Kelly's the baby of the group. She's like, doesn't know what we're talking about.
Oh,
I'm not.
Yes, you are. Do you know what Battle of the Network Stars is?
I just know, but no, I had a fairly sheltered childhood. I don't know why that would be kept from me. I don't remember. No, I don't remember that.
I was gonna say Kelly and I are the same age,
So
but I think we had disparate upbringings. My mom was very TV focused, like loved TV.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had a lot of exposure to that.
yeah.
Now I
So
feel like an
fun.
asshole because I called Kelly the baby. You're both the baby of the group. Sorry.
I
What
I'll
if
take
you-
it.
But the
Take it
fact that
'cause-
you remember Battle of the Network Stars, I just pegged you, you know. But
Well, we're like the elders of our work team, so it's nice to be the babies of something.
yeah,
So it's nice.
nobody here's as old as Steve though, so we can.
Yeah.
You
As
know.
evidenced by the way I dressed tonight. I'm going to cut the grass in the same outfit later this weekend. Too, so.
Should.
Why not? Why not?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's sorry, Scott, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say before we move off this topic, I feel like everyone now that Anna and I have been very vulnerable since I've talked about Days of Our Lives and she's talked about Wendy Williams.
Yes.
Everyone needs to go tell a guilty pleasure TV show,
Oh, I don't know.
preferably a daytime one, but I understand if you don't watch daytime TV. What is your guilty preference TV show? You know, Kelly, Erin, and Steve, whoever wants to go first.
I'll jump in because Anna already knows mine, which is the Bachelor franchise.
Mm-hmm.
I can easily not watch that show, but I do have friends who watch it, and I like watching it socially in order to make fun of it. And I get it's horrible, it's overproduced, and you know exactly. I mean, like it is what it is, but I will watch it. And the content though has gotten so long. You're committing so many hours of your life to the show.
It's so true.
It's like
So many hours, 3
Yeah.
hours, and then the next day is another 3 hours. And
so rough.
What about After the Rose? I mean, come on. You know.
I've gotten to the point though where there's some, I don't know if you've read any of the Vulture recaps of the show.
Steve reads those. He tells me about them later.
They're incredible.
They are exquisitely written. The humor is incredible, and I will not watch the episodes unless I'm watching with a friend, and then I will go on and read the recap every week just to see how this writer talks about the show. It is amazing.
Yeah, I don't watch The Bachelor because I can't handle the garbage people on that show, but the Vulture recaps are real good.
There was a good podcast called something like Will You Accept This, Rose? But it was hilarious back in the I'm just now remembering it, and I wouldn't even watch the Bachelor show. I just listened to the podcast and they'd make fun of the people. What about you, Steve?
So
What's your guilty pleasure?
I've had to take steps to make sure I can't do this, so it's not accessible at my home. But if you put I have family members that are into this, and if you put me somewhere that there's Hallmark movies on, I will scoff, and then I will time travel for 9 hours as you watch 4 different versions of the same exact movie of, you know, the lady doctor who comes home, who's the jerk boyfriend she has in the big city, but there's this nice man in her small town. And there's a contest during Christmas, and I wonder if they're going to come together when they bake a pie, you know. And that's, and I say that like it's a bad thing, and I would be like, I'm not going to watch this, and I'm like, wait a minute, wasn't that person on 90210 like of the last season? And I'm gone.
oh, you get sucked right in. Those Christmas time Hallmarks, man. My mother-in-law came and visited, and we were like, I didn't even know we had the Hallmark channel, and she found it. And she started.
They always do.
I know. She started watching, and I was like, "Oh God!" And we're like, Mike too. He's like, "Oh, this is ridiculous." Like, oh, we need to go get another TV. We only have one TV in our house. Maybe that's crazy, but we have one TV. So we were just kind of sitting there like, shit. And then all of a sudden, you know, like Tom, Mary, and Katie Bright get together, and you know, you're all of a sudden you're invested in their little Christmas tree farm. And I know it does suck you in. It's like I don't know what they've got.
And then Jack Wagner from General Hospital and 90210 shows up. You're like,
Yep.
all right, it's all coming together
Now I'm
now.
confused.
Yeah, he's like the elder statesman of the town. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
And does not have elder statesman here. He has still guy that was in Hollywood 1980s here, but still he still has it going on. I will say Jack Wagner. I hope you get to hear this sometime. As he's battling the pandemic.
Speaking of General
Wherever he
Hospital
is.
and soap operas, yeah, he was on General Hospital too. Did you know that?
I did. Oh yeah, of course I knew. I did see also for some reason the thing was actually over the holidays, and I certainly expected to wear an ascot tonight and talk about Hallmark movies, but there was something on the Hallmark channel where they had like a holiday karaoke special, and it was a combination Hallmark like special / hostage video because you could tell no one really wanted to be there, but it was in some small print in their contract, and that was the last time I saw Jack Wagner. It might be until I get the Hallmark channel again.
Was Candace Cameron there?
Yeah, she's too big time for this.
Yeah, she's on the Fuller House.
Yeah.
She's
Oh,
got her
She's got to lose some money in Bitcoin or something like that to show up on that.
Tina Yothers maybe. Actually,
Maybe.
is she still with us? Yeah, my bad. Tracy
I think
Gold. That's
she
what I'm
is.
thinking of.
Yeah,
dead.
no, both. No,
They're both dead?
alive, right?
No, Tracy Gold's around.
Isn't there another Gold? Missy Gold that was
Yes,
on Benson?
there's a Missy Gold. My dad had like a crush on her. I don't know
Is she
why.
dead too?
Been
Are
too many.
all these people dead? Did
No.
something just happen?
I just assume they are.
I think Tina Yothers is around. I don't think she's dead, but I don't think she's on any Hallmark movies
looking
either. I
it
think
up.
she's but please let us know.
Google.
Is it
God,
so-
No, yeah, I'm gonna off to Google.
Yeah. All right. So Erin, I think you're the last one. What's your guilty pleasure?
Okay, I do watch The Bachelor occasionally, so I could use that, but just to be different here, I'm going to say The Real Housewives of New Jersey only. Only of New Jersey. I don't care about the other ones. But
Excellent choice.
yeah, so now I'm not as into them as I was like when they first started out with Caroline Manzo and some of that crew. But so my husband, like, he hates all this stuff, but he really hates The Real Housewives of New Jersey, and he hated the Jersey Shore too. I would watch that too. That was my guilty pleasure in like 2007. But because he's from New Jersey, and I think that he sees some of himself in some of these characters. Therefore, he wants to distance himself as much as possible because he really he knows that he would be capable of a table flip, but he doesn't want to. So he just can't watch. It's just too much for him, to handle emotionally. I think he, has fist pumped at some, club on the shore because he actually is from the shore. So I think it's just a little too close to home, but I like to watch it. So, he's got to put up with that. But yeah, Housewives.
It makes sense. You're attracted to guys that say cabs are here or whatever.
Yeah.
So your husband's from a big city. He's moved to a smaller southern town.
Oh, I see where you're going with
Met
this.
somebody during the holidays, maybe. Just saying.
No,
He might be
Steve.
living in a Hallmark movie.
Is he also a prince?
Yeah,
I wish.
he's got royalty. No,
I wish.
there is a Hallmark movie there because
Yeah, there may be a Hallmark.
they Aaron and Mike grew up on the same street. They knew each other as kids and then drifted apart and then came back. Now, I don't know if it was over some sort of Christmas pie contest, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, if he's from the shore, it was
think
probably a wet
MySpace was
t-shirt
involved.
contest.
It was a lasagna contest. Okay?
That's a good idea for Hallmark After Dark. They could have that.
Right. Kind of like USA Up All Night,
Yeah.
but
Right.
Hallmark After Dark. I think you've got something here. So use that creativity.
There we go. Coming back.
Use
So-
that inspiration.
Erin, I can relate to your husband because I grew up in Laguna Beach, California.
That sounds like a dream. Or
Well, it was a normal,
what-
dumb,
okay.
regular town when I lived there, and then I went to college right when the TV show came out.
the hills.
Then Spencer Pratt
Yeah.
hit.
Yeah, Spencer. Well, yeah. So first it was Laguna Beach, and then it was the Hills.
LC.
LC, Lauren Conrad. My sister knows her parents because we're from that town where she's from.
Really? I watched
We're
that
not
show
from like
religiously.
the part of town she's from, but
Who is
Wow.
Elsie's friend? Who is like the fun friend, but also like understated hot, like the blonde girl? Oh gosh, who?
Low.
Low.
I didn't watch it because it was too hard.
You
Because
didn't watch it. Okay.
because my experience growing up on Laguna Beach was not that experience at all. It was very much like a very sleepy little beach town community, and it was very middle class when I was growing up there. And then around the early 2000s, it like flipped the switch into this like new money trash town, and not all of it, but part of it did. And then Laguna Beach made it worse. The TV show made it worse. So it's hard for me to watch those kinds of things.
Well,
So
if I
it makes
could,
you
get it.
angry at.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
if I could, I would like to plug my personal records episode with Anna because we do talk about
We do,
Orange
that's right.
County
Yeah.
and Tragic Kingdom and her personal relationship with.
Evidently, it's all I can talk about.
No, but it's actually a good
Yeah.
story, and
It
it
was
talks
fun.
about this a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, Steve and I had a similar situation. We grew up in the mean streets of Virginia Beach, but
Mhm.
but then it never switched over to a reality show about like because it never got fancy. But
You know Kelly's from there too, right?
Yeah.
that's right. I always
Yeah.
forget that Kelly was from not as a mean streets side. You because you went to like Cox or Kellam or
I went to Kellam. That was they pulled all the kids from like Pungo,
yeah.
the rural part of the city.
Nah, yeah. So that's fancy compared to Steve and I. We were.
Where did you guys go?
You got street cred.
Were
I
you
don't
at
think we should talk about it.
Yeah.
I live next to Green Run. Do you remember Green?
up there? Yeah.
Steve lived next to Kimsville.
Mhm.
If you know that area.
Got
But
awkwardly quiet there. Can I
Yeah,
talk
no,
about how
you-
Kelly's seen my nipples again? Would this be a good time to bring that back around?
So, okay. All right, just kind of going off of, I'm going to tie this back to the Hallmark again. Since actually Steve's really good at coming up with these on the fly, these plots, bringing it back to our creativity conversation. And Steve, obviously you need to be hired as a Hallmark writer, but like how are you guys dealing with like,
Sorry. Keep talking. Keep talking. He was being annoying. Keep talking.
how are you guys finding like creative inspiration right now? Are you like, especially dealing with space constraints, because you can't just go out to a coffee shop or a park or wherever the heck you go to find inspiration? Like, how's that going for everybody?
I'll say that this is kind of, I guess, more strange, but my way that I am inspired is through Instagram, but not through like my personal feed. I go to the search and I scroll through like artists and all these different people. The search is populated with similar things that you've liked before, right? So that is my quickest, easiest way to get inspired when I'm in quarantine, is to kind of just search the world of Instagram and see who's doing what and who's writing and drawing and
new Hallmark and Lifetime movies.
right,
'Cause it goes based on what you're interested in. So
Yeah. I will say, as a designer, and because I have some, extensive foundational training, I'm very, designers don't always have inspiration. That you can't wait for that to strike. You got to get work done, right? So I've trained myself to have a bit of a discipline. I think every designer has their own discipline that they do, and sometimes it is like going on Pinterest and finding things that you love. For me, it's sketching and ideating and thumbnails and research and research and research. So if I have, for instance, we had a pretty big mass advertising project on our team this past month, and I love research. That's part of what I love about design, is that you can always find you always find that sort of inspiration, that spark or something to start with. If you just go back in time, you'll find something. Read a history book, read an article, consume culture. I'm a huge culture consumer to the point where I have an encyclopedic knowledge of garbage that doesn't matter. But I have this database in my head where I can kind of pull back. I have a shorthand now with myself where I can kind of find some things, which helps. But I think for me, and only speaking for me as a designer, what works for me is not just looking at design things. Sometimes it's looking at an art book. Sometimes it's watching a movie that I love. Sometimes it's listening to music that is in a genre that might inspire me. I try not to limit myself, and I try to give myself set timelines. So I'll say, like, I'm going to take an hour. So I think the problem is we get so overwhelmed with the idea, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that I have to get this done by tomorrow. And it's like, well, yeah, but it really is only going to take you an hour. So just take an hour. So just little things like that. I had a project that I worked on with Kelly where we were doing this not dumb. We were doing a very silly internal project. It's not dumb at all. Where Kelly was working on just like a meeting series called 2x4, and they wanted it to be like lumberjack themed. And at first I was really overwhelmed because I'm like, well, it's not really bound by our brand. It's an internal thing. We kind of do whatever I want, which as a designer, that's the most terrifying thing you could possibly have is no parameters. So I researched lumberjacks. I researched cartoon beavers. I researched saw blades. Just getting into the nitty gritty of all that. And then I found some inspiration to go from there. I guess my point is you can find inspiration anywhere. And sometimes it's literally the shape of a saw blade. You just never know. So I'm trying to stay open and receptive and not be so closed in with the fear and the uncertainty and the, just not knowing what's going to happen tomorrow. Because that can really close us off to creativity. So that's my pep talk. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk about creativity. And this is Elwood, by the way. He's my annoying dog. That's him.
Hey, Elwood.
Hi.
He can't hear you. I have my headphones in.
He's like,
okay. Down you go. Yeah, okay.
No, that was inspiring. It also kind of sounds like my Google search history. Lumberjacks and cartoon beavers. I don't know. Just kidding.
Just looked at Scott and got your model right there.
That's right.
Right. Mm-hmm. That's true.
Yeah. How about you guys, Scott? So,
I mean, I don't do anything creative. I'm just trying to make it through every day. But I do wonder about Steve. I know Steve mentioned just taking the, your neighbor's new chickens, things like that. I mean, I've asked him because he does, I don't know if the secret's out or not, but he does a creative podcast as well, or he has a friend.
I produce one.
He produces a creative podcast, Robert Bankett. And, I'm like, how are you still coming up with writing and doing stuff like that? So he'd be a good one to answer it.
yeah.
I say life gives you lemons. You figure out what to do with it and move on. Your ascots aren't going to work as masks. You embrace them for video podcasts. Your neighbors put up a chicken coop. Get that fox for your daughter that she's always wanted.
Are you really going to get you're not going to get a fox.
You can buy a tiger for $1,200. I can get a fox.
You can get a tiger for so cheap.
Exactly. So maybe I could be the Fox King in a year. Maybe this will be the inspiration for that.
Yeah, Scott.
Since I expected, obviously, we talk about Jack Wagner. Let's just go out with that. Started with General Hospital, did some music in the 80s, ended up on Melrose Place, not 90210, and also is on Hallmark Channel. So, life gives you lemons. Do a Jack Wagner and end up in a Hallmark movie.
Yeah.
Well, obviously creativity doesn't go away. It just kind of, you have to adapt, and you may find it in weird places that you've never really looked to before. Like I'm kind of like you, where first thing I look to is like Instagram and that, and do a search. Same thing, like just kind of like visuals that inspire me, or and for me, like creativity is really tied to my energy level. And if I don't have a lot of energy, and I think most everyone's it makes sense, but I need to have a good amount of energy to be creative. So like my time is the morning. Like that's when my husband and I are switching off, to go back to what you were saying, Scott. We do switch off a lot during the day. But morning is mine, because that's when I am at my best. So like I will go for a walk or do exercise quickly first, and then that puts me in a better frame of mind, and then I scroll Instagram. But like I love watching even like some people that I follow that are artists or writers, their Instagram stories. Like it's part of what I love about my own job is creating stories and script writing, and having 60 seconds to do that, or 30 seconds to get something across. And so I find inspiration in other people's stories that aren't like fashion, influencers or anything, which are hopefully that industry is dying to some degree. But yeah, so it's always, I think it can be harder now, obviously, to find that inspiration, to have that space, like we were talking about, to have it just kind of like come to you. Feel like I'm going more to it and seeking it out, because, it's not coming out of the blue sometimes.
Well, and like Anna said, going into the past, and that's something we're going to have to do, excuse me, when it comes to entertainment, because like new shows aren't being produced, a lot of new things aren't happening. So it gives you an excuse to kind of look to the past, which is always there for you, and there's always something inspiring in the past. So, well, listen, I think we've done a good job covering this. Is there anything else anybody has? Otherwise, we'll go ahead and start wrapping up. What do you think?
I know that I'm not putting my chickens anywhere near Steve's ascot.
Or his potential new fox. But I want to say, Kelly, Steve, Anna, thank you so much for being here, talking about just life and the struggles of creatives during this time. And I'm sure we'll probably ask you to come back and do it again sometime. So any final thoughts from anyone?
If you're going to get a fox, make sure it's a domesticated fox bred for fur.
How do you know that?
Because I follow one on Instagram.
All right. And on that note, everyone go follow the Insta. No, now you have to tell us. There's a fox.
It's Juniper Fox. And the woman is a zoologist who used to work at a zoo. I'll be very quick. She's got like 3 different foxes that were all bred for fur, but they're domesticated so they can live in a house. But they're wild animals, to be sure, but they're better than a regular fox. And she has all sorts of animals. She's got possums and geckos and all sorts of fun stuff.
Oh my gosh, this sounds like Steve's nightmare.
No, but are they domesticated so much they won't kill chickens, or you think they still have that in them?
No, I think they still have that in them. I do. I believe it.
Is this it?
Pull it up a little bit. I think that's it. Yeah, that's it.
All right, Juniper the fox.
Getting a free shout out over here.
I
Free
know.
plug.
Yeah, I'm sure this is what she wants.
Who wants
I'm gonna
to
kill your neighbor's chickens. Come to juniperfox.com.
I just can't believe how much chickens has come up on this podcast. So first we had Erin, like as a substitute for Disney World, she got her kids chicks, and then now Steve's neighbor has chicks.
Mm-hmm.
So is that like a thing?
Yeah,
it's like making bread. It's like getting chickens and making bread. What the hell? Like, why are these?
Yeah,
because the supply chain is breaking down and people are panicking. So they're like, I'll just get my own eggs.
I just got mine to be cute, to be honest with you, and now they're getting older, and yeah, not so cute anymore. Guys,
Well, that's just like me.
I'm not a farmer. I'm not a farmer. Okay.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for being here, and have a wonderful evening.
Yeah,
Nice
thank
seeing
you guys.
Y'all have a good one. We'll talk
All
to you
right.
soon.
Bye.
Bye now.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Speaksies.